elections. So at the moment, Antigone is not present, so we will skip the first point in the agenda, presentation of the result of the consultation of the national pirate parties. I believe this survey that was prepared, it kind of will set the tone for the discussion, so hopefully she will show up soon so we can take it into account. So let's move on to the second point in the agenda. Information round about the European election in each country. 3 minutes per pirate party. Should we postpone this point too, or should we go over each present pirate party and have them talk about this very shortly?
I'll say, well, let's have it on the agenda right now. So, information just given brief will just help us to see who's where, etc.
So, if I understood right, you say we should go over present parties one?
Yeah, just have a round call, so to say.
So I will go based on the list of participants. Each time I see a party for the first time, I will call out. So first is PBDE, Pirate Party of Germany. So do those present from the Pirate Party of Germany have something to say regarding their plans for the European elections?
Alex, will you? Otherwise, okay, step in. Well, we are in the preparation for having the assembly for calling for candidates, which will be on 9th and 10th of June this year. We were waiting until today to start the preparation. Some working groups are already on working on subjects, on different ones, even some items we've had not in mind in the past, including weaponry and such stuff. So I believe we will have quite a lot of things to discuss quite soon. And for the rest, I would like to start strategy for the European election quite soon, together with all the other parties.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we go on, are you also keeping minutes at the same time? It would be nice to know that someone is watching this. Thomas, can I put your name that you're keeping minutes for now?
Well, that can do everybody else as well. So whoever steps in.
Okay, so the next party I see on the list is Pirate Party of France. Do those present from the Pirate Party of France have a couple of things to say about their plans and expectations for the European elections?
I will speak for Parti Pirate France. So good evening, everyone. For this election, there is a big change in France. We will have one national list, and not several regional lists. So it's a big change for us. So like we need a lot of candidates, we will probably seek for alliance, political alliance for this election. So it will be one priority. So we have to build our program in order to have discussion with other parties. We don't know who for the moment, so we will see, but we are really happy to see that a lot of European parties are reunited to change, to build a common program, and we will try to participate as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. So next in the list, I see Party of Sweden. Do those present from the Party of Sweden have a word or two to say about the European elections?
Hi, this is Mob from the Swedish Pirate Party. I hope you can hear me? Question mark.
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. So the Swedish Pirate Party, we have national elections in September this year. And that is where we're currently doing most of our focus. So our long-term plan is to basically start with the EU elections the moment that election is over. So we're going to elect our list at the end of the year, and we're doing most of our planning at the end of this year. That's where we're currently at.
Okay, thank you very much. So next party I see is a Pirate Party of the Netherlands.
Hello, this is Jonathan from the Netherlands. Yes, we're currently starting with our EU elections. We just finished our referendum, which we won actually, against dragnet surveillance in the Netherlands. Now we're moving over and we're going to start up our EU election campaign, and we will start with making programs and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, great, thank you. So I believe next is the Party of Slovenia, right?
Yes, hello. I'm Patrick from the Pirate Party of Slovenia. And our situation currently is that we're having parliamentary elections in the month of May. So until then, our hands are pretty much tied up with these elections. And then around May, we will be able to devote more of our resources to the European program and the elections.
Great, thank you.
I might add that we are eager to participate in the common program, though.
We are eager too to have everyone participate in the common program. Great. So, yeah, I think next is the Party of Finland.
Yes, hello. My name is Mayali, and yeah, we're currently looking at a possible election, an entirely new election, the county level elections, which may or may not be happening this October. We still don't know, but we have to act like they are happening because it would be extremely awkward if we didn't, and they just well, and we had to we have to act like they're happening. And in addition to that, our general election is slated for April 2019, and I think it was just established that the European election will be in May. So we'll have like 6 weeks between our general election and the EU election, and apparently there is no interest in like the current government didn't opt for like conflating those. So we'll be pretty busy, and we'll probably have to try to like yeah, we have a lot to juggle, and there have been talks about an electoral alliance between several minor parties, like non-parliamentary minor parties here, but that's still up in the air as well. But it might be not just the pirates alone here in Finland. And I'm not sure what else. Well, the Finnish pirates have an existing EU program dating back to, I think, 2013. I'm not sure if anyone else mentioned having, like, not sure what the situation is in other pirate parties, but yeah, we have an established one. And I think it's still pretty, like, relevant today, at least. Yeah, the quick once over I gave it just a minute ago. Anyway, I think that's it for now. We're very busy as well, but we're very interested in participating in any like common program work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So if I'm not mistaken, the next one in the list is Pirate Party of Greece, from which I'm the only one present at the moment. Even though I'm not here representing Greece, I could say a couple of things maybe. So we participated in the last European elections in a coalition with the Greens at the time, and we were running under the Common European Election Program as our platform. So, and we will definitely be looking forward to repeat this process. Generally, we try to run into any election that we have the resources to run into. Sometimes that could mean running with coalitions, etc. So right now it's still not visible in which capacity we'll participate in the next elections, but we're certainly interested. And that's all I can say for now for the Pirate Party of Greece. I don't know, is there anyone else here who is not in the participant list who represents a pirate party that we haven't talked about yet? So if there is another pirate party present, please speak out now before we move on to the next point in the agenda. In the meantime, would anyone like to say something on behalf of PPI or another pirate organization, or we can move on?
Well, sorry, me representing PPI today. No, I believe we've got nothing to say at the moment, but just move on and try your best.
Okay, I think we can move to the next point. So next point in the agenda, define all the actions to have until the common program is adopted, 45 minutes. So we need to basically discuss what kind of actions we need to take in order to arrive at a common program up to the point where it is adopted by each party, as far as I understand the point in the agenda. So we will need to discuss here basically. We will discuss how we will discuss each point, how we will write the proposals that we will adopt, that we will propose for adoption, and how we will do the adoption.
Yeah, for proposal first. Well, I believe we have to check the Common European program at first, which is one part. Just finding out which part of it is, for example, obsolete by today or needs to be amended. That might be step number 1.
Yeah, fair enough. So step number 1 is we need to review the existing 2014 European election program and decide what we can keep and what needs to be revised, basically. So let's discuss first what needs to be done before discussing how we will distribute this work. So I would suggest we don't discuss right now who will do this review. Instead, we discuss all the to-dos, and we decide at a later point how we will basically recruit people to take care of that.
Another thing that we might want to discuss early on, like an early action, is to agree on a decision-making process for the Common European Election Program. Last time around, we didn't really agree beforehand on how to make decisions, and that caused some frictions later on in the process. So I think before we start with the actual content, it might be good to have a clear agreement on how decisions are being made in the end.
So yeah, I agree. I need to discuss all the meta topics basically. So I would say that probably includes decision making in the context of how the working groups will decide what to include and what not to include. So at the more inner scope, and then at the larger scope, we have to discuss also the decision making steps that will lead into the adoption of the program. So how the parties will ratify any results. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me. That is exactly what I thought we needed to discuss. I agree totally.
Yeah, at first, the decision making of the national parties is up to the national parties. So for Germany, we have to adopt this common program on a General Assembly. I think most other parties will do that also. So we have to be finished with this process more or less, yes, in autumn, because there have to be enough time for all parties to adopt this program.
Of course, we will not intervene with how the parties themselves will make any decisions, but we need to discuss on how we decide what to send to the parties to decide on, and then take their decisions as input again to form a resulting program that we know everyone agrees on.
So if I understand correctly, you want to know how will we create a process in which we decide what will be cancelled from the program and what will be added to the program, and how we will communicate this with all the parties and includes input from the parties themselves. Is this correct?
Yeah, it will be a good idea to know how we will basically approach this so everyone knows what to expect. For example, I mean, during the last time when we were discussing each point in the program, it was basically a consensus process, and we decided based on consensus during the discussions what to keep and what to not keep. And if one party disagreed with one point, we always had to rework it. So things like that we need to know in advance. also at the last step of the process during ratification, even after everything had been discussed, we still gave the opportunity to all parties to strike out parts from the program during the ratification. So this is how we did it last time, in order to arrive at a text that was basically consensually agreed upon.
Okay, if we already have a baseline now. We have the baseline. This is the program we used the last time, and I think we will need to use this basis. But how to create the process of adding and removing stuff, that is up to this group now to discuss. My advice would be to do this consensually with the group currently active, and if any party wants to join in, they can do as well. I think this is the best way forward, personally.
So I think, sorry.
Yeah, and in addition, I believe there will be working groups, which is a proposal as well, see below. So even those might be work up something independently first and show it up in the bigger round afterwards. So we'll leave the bigger group to decide, so to say, what to take in or what to not to take in, etc. Or who, just going, well, that's being part of the process as well.
So I will say the first thing we need to decide is whether we want to keep the concept of consensus, which I believe we probably still want this. So I guess it's the first thing that we need to discuss.
Yeah, ultimately this will lead to a tool discussion, I believe. I think as soon as you have a consensus of about 80% that agrees to something, you can make a change. And how we're gonna do this is pretty much a tool discussion. I wouldn't want to spend too much time on tool discussions and just pick a tool and go ahead.
Yeah, well, just remembering the query that's been done by Antigone a long time ago, so to say, starting a process. There was the question how to reach, so to say, what you would like to have, having a consensus, or could we go by percentages, etc. That's also part of it, but that piece of information I'm missing today.
Yeah, I guess when Antigone shows up, we can discuss this based on the survey. Though at the last time, it was 100% consensus. So one party will disagree, and we had to change something or strike it out. And it actually worked quite well, I could add.
If it works,
Yeah.
it works. I wouldn't try to reinvent the wheel and just pick the process that we used last time.
Yes, of course, but it's very clear when one party said no, we cannot go with this, then we cannot have it in the common program. It's very easy.
May I ask something? What tools what tools were used for like documentation and decision making the last time around? Was it just meetings like this, or were there like any platforms or?
There were meetings. There were quite a lot of the meetings actually. It was, I think, the Giles was they had a European working group, and they invited all different countries who had political parties. We were meeting, I think, every week at a certain time to get this program on the way, and decision making, what comes out, what goes in. It was very interesting. I followed it all the way through last time, and well, it's quite an easy process actually. Like just simple things that only actually are good at national level, and it's like being in a region in a national area, and it only works there, you know. So it's not going to happen on national or European level. I was actually thinking maybe we could actually do this completely differently, and say that all the pirates in Europe who are working on the European program are actually European pirates. And the pirates who are willing and actually think they're European pirates can actually work their own program without national influence. So we're actually driving two completely different ships.
So would it be would we just like leave it up to the national parties then to like it would be up to them if they want to adopt?
Yeah, they could
whatever
agree
we
on that
come out with?
afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Going back to the meta level, if I may, I think there's two more things we should discuss. One was, it was stated that we have a baseline, which is the program from last election. Now, I would agree that it's a good start, but I would also say that we need to decide whether we want to use that as a starting point or whether we want to start from scratch. I would be in favor of using the last Common European Election Program, but I don't think we can take for granted that that is what we should do. It would have to be a decision. The second thing is whether we want one program or more than one program. So one potential option, if you look at all the different categories people have wanted to add this time around, there's a lot that won't fit with the different national parties. So one option would be to have one central Common European Election Program and then having an extended European election program that might not need to be consensus based and where different parties can add what they see fit.
Yeah, that would exactly monitor the last last given situation, and for 2014, as well, especially Germany, for example, had in addition to the CEP as well, and other parties too. Plus, I believe, just telling, the CEP in its current state has already been decided as a basis by the Power Party of Germany to start with. That's been done by the General Assembly.
Maybe we should start with a review of the 2014 program for each party. So like everyone see in his own party, if we want to keep some stuff on the former European program, and maybe afterward we can decide which part we need to change, which part we need to delete, and which part we need to add, maybe. And if you want, I have the result of the survey.
Okay, so if you have the results of the survey, would you like then to go back to point 1, the agenda, and present that?
I have them, but I can't comment it because I don't know how many people, how many parties as votes, and so I have not all the data, but I just have the result.
Okay, maybe we can discuss what you know, and if Andy Gon shows up later, we can go back to it again. So I see there's something has been added in the minutes.
And I have like information that there is only 4 parties who answered this survey, and it's PPFR, PPD, Czech Pirate Party, and Austrian Pirate Party, and maybe a 5th with Catalonia Pirate Party.
So probably not enough parties to have some clear conclusion, maybe just some hints.
Maybe we should take 5 minutes tonight to see if some parties who haven't answered the survey maybe tell us which are their position about it. Maybe with more answer, it will be more easy to see which methodology we should use. Because if each party is free to keep or not program and decided if it's its main program or not. Maybe consensus is not really a necessity. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if we have more answer, it will be more clear to decide how we should process. So in the survey, we can see that for the adoption of the program, most of the answer shows that it should be required to have a qualified majority of 2/3, and after every PP can decide to accept or not the program, and it's not an official program. It's just a suggestion of common program, but I don't know if it's necessary to work on a common program if each party will decide it or not to have his own program or to reject the common work. So maybe it will be better to decide it on unanimity and to apply this program to everyone.
I'm not sure what you mean by apply it to everyone. At the end of the day, the national parties are the ones running in the elections. If they don't want to adopt the program, there's no way for the European Pirate Party to enforce it. And I think trying to enforce a program that a party don't want to adopt is probably not the best way to keep the organization together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, there is no way for PPU to influence what kind of program the member parties will run with. It's totally up to them.
So maybe unanimity is not really necessary for the adoption.
Well, I would argue that consensus is still a really, really good idea. Otherwise, we risk the chance of having very few parties adopting the program after some controversial stuff ends up being in it. And we call it the Common European Election Program for a reason. And I will also argue that it worked really well last time.
Yeah, therefore it's we start with a common program of 2014 course. This was adopted from a lot of parties, so it is really that was common, and it's also very actual. There are not a lot of things which have been solved in the last 5 years. But in some part it needs amendments, and those we have to discuss here.
Yeah, and I believe that can be done by some people only, just seeing, well, it needs to be amended, this needs to be straightened off or something like that, and we can discuss further on what needs to be done on the special item.
My personal preference is that we create a common program that any PP can adopt, and maybe add a few things themselves. But if we give every PP a template, a basis, a start line for their program, and we can make that with this group or with some specific people in this group, it would help us forward. What I noticed now is that we're going to wait until other people do stuff, and then we're going to maybe edit and maybe not. And I would really like to move this forward and create some action points where we can work towards.
Yeah, well, I'm fully with you. That's why I've proposed, seeing at the CEP first, because that's one point, and aside from that, the working group might show up, find themselves, so to say, to see into different subjects or what needs to be done if there's something around from the certain party by now, or if the party is developing it, etc. So that the actual work at the moment could be done in the working groups until the time something is finished and can be brought up in the bigger round, even we being rediscussed in each country.
Okay, so where we're at now is that we have to create a process where every country can give their approval or not, and working groups that can start work. And we need to know what can these working groups do. I think this is the most important thing at this moment. What will the working groups do so that we can create this common program? What are they allowed to do, what not? What needs local countries need to do and what not? This is still unclear for me at this moment.
Well, I would just propose one thing. Let the working groups do their stuff, whatever might be the output, and we are, so to say, are the committee to see, we were representing whatever country, blah, blah, etc. Say, well, we do have a problem with that we can do, and maybe strike it off or amend it, please. So we have 2 rounds, or even 3 rounds. Having the national parties, having the working groups, and us, so to say, as a committee, finally deciding what's in it, and each party by himself can afterwards decide if they want to adopt the CEP themselves or not.
Okay, this helps me a little bit forward. What would be the first step in creating this process? If we can actually make an agreement together here with all of us, we can move forward. I really want to move forward.
Yeah, first thing would be, I believe, having people being responsible for the working groups. Somebody, I believe, the board is currently responsible for us, so to say, as a committee. And somebody in the meantime can write it down, down to the details how the process can be done. I believe if we were going to go into formulating that today, that will take a night.
Okay, let's not do that then, but let's decide what we really want and create a proposal for our next meeting.
That for sure, and that can be done. Plus, but I believe we should give it a start for the working groups, finding even people who might be feeling responsible at the meantime for inviting for it, setting up email lists, whatever is needed.
Agreed.
I have a question to the CCB. It was last time it was a working group, and it was then finished, and some national parties took it to their general assembly and voted on it for acceptance. And it would be good to know which countries that were who've already accepted it.
I believe that's somewhere monitored, but I don't have the link at hand.
It was quite a few countries that adopted it.
Yeah, okay. If we get that list, we're good to go on the basis from the old program. Maybe we'll get newcomers to actually get the old program just accepted if they want to, and because that's going to be the basis of everything. I mean, and the new changes maybe later on a later assembly. But if they can actually take this 214 assembly and accept it as well on their general assemblies, it would be an advantage for all of us.
So let's take everything basically from the beginning. So starting from the existing Common European Election Program, as Mab mentioned, first we need to decide on whether we do actually keep it. So it's a good idea, but I guess we have to give the chance to everyone to agree or disagree with this before we actually do this, right? So maybe one action point. So first thing that you do then is get feedback on from the parties about the existing common European election program, on whether they are okay with keeping parts of it and which parts they are not willing to keep in case they decide that they want to keep some.
Yeah, well, I believe that's intertwined with monitoring the, so to say, old common European program.
So let's should we highlight each to do with the letters to do in the list and something like that? So I put also a who there, even though we will not decide now who will take care of contacting each party about this, but we mark it down that it's a to-do that we have to do. Does that make sense?
There are some people who wrote stuff in the chat. Maybe we should look at it to see if there is something interesting.
I think this is not meta, and we are discussing kind of the meta now, right? Should this belong into one of the particular work groups?
I think that it may be important to discuss which tool we will use, as we discussed how the discussion will take place. Maybe if we say we need this tool to discuss, maybe it will be more easy afterwards to organize a different group and to see who can do this kind of stuff or this kind of stuff. Maybe it's like we can't really see how we will work because we don't know which tool we will use. And maybe, I don't know, it will be more efficient to start by discussing, by speaking about the tools, and after to see how we organize ourselves on these tools to discuss how we should do the program.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, tools. I would argue that we need to know the process before we know which tools can implement the process. Do we have any suggestions for tools that could actually help with this? Because as far as I see, we might as well work the same way as last time with meetings and keeping minutes.
Maybe we should. It's possible to set up a tool like Discourse that we use in France. It's really easy, and it's a good tool because pirates can work all the time and don't wait for meetings. So like that, we work more. We are more efficient, and we have rating. We have all the writing on the same place, and afterwards we can have meeting to discuss few points who are more technical, or maybe we need more consensus.
Well, I wouldn't object, but just telling you, Cloud Product Germany at the moment is setting up a discourse as well, and PPI as well will set up a discourse too. So I believe that's well, one thing we could use, but it's a tool. So, but in the meantime, we need to have decision-making meetings, and the rest. I don't care if it is done on Discourse or an email. I believe each working group will find itself saying, well, where we can find us, and even our bigger group, so to say, our committee, will find a way which suits us all.
Of course, that raises the question of whether you want to work asynchronously or synchronously. So I will say that synchronous meetings are still needed for this kind of work. Then for asynchronous work, if we think we need this, so how do we envision to work in an asynchronous manner? And do we need discourse rather than mailing lists, for example?
As for me, I really don't care. It's a tool.
Well, as for me, I would rather not have hundreds of different tools that different people wanted to try at some point. So the question is, what are we trying to implement that Discourse will offer to us?
Discourse is really simple to use. It's like it's halfway between a forum and a mailing list, and it's a good tool because we will have one place where all pirates discussed about speaking about the program. So if you are not in one committee or in one working group, but you want to see of what they are speaking about, you can see what they are speaking about. Because it's difficult with the mailing list, there is a lot of mailing lists, you have to subscribe to it, so it's more difficult to follow the discussion. And if we want that a lot of pirates participate to this program construction, we need to have a tool which is simple to use. So Discourse is good because you have to be registered to it to participate, and like that we have one place and we can discuss, and we can also have member meeting if we want. It's not a question. The most important for me is that we have one place where we can say to the pirate, if you want to participate to the construction of the European program, you go to the Ppeu Discourse and you will have all the discussion and you can pick which group you want to participate or not.
So basically the proposal is we do preparatory work for the European election program asynchronously, and we use Discourse rather than mailing lists because of the ease of use, right? Correct?
Yes, so like Discourse, you can use Discourse as a mailing list at the same time if you want. That's why it's a really good tool.
Okay, I think maybe this should be part of collecting further feedback from the member parties on how they want to work. Or actually, do we want to collect feedback from the member parties, or do we want to collect feedback from the people that the parties will assign to do the work, since this is more relevant for the actual coordinators on how they will wish to work?
So I'm under the impression we want as many people as possible working on this. So it will have to be like feedback from the parties, not just the people who are currently here.
Yeah, so what in case there is a discourse available? I know France does have a discourse. Others are in preparation to start a discourse, even PPI. So, well, if we should start a discourse, I believe we need to have a starting place somewhere in the world. If that will be France, I'd be happy to have you setting it up for PPU, this case.
I think we can do that easily. We have our tech guide tonight here, so I think if PPU wants to set up our discourse, we can do it.
Yeah, or we just participate in yours. That might be a possibility as well, because you've got one running, and I believe a sub branch having in it, so to say, in English would be easy.
I think it's possible. I will ask, but I don't know, because our discourse is linked to our adherence database, so it's can sometimes a little bit tricky to decide it to which can speak or not, but I will see with our tech guy if it's possible or not.
Well, I think if everyone agrees to use this course, we can also check on whether we can set up an official PPU discourse. Maybe Bastian will be willing to do that, or someone can help in another way.
Good evening. Yeah, no problem. It would be fine if we can decide something how to work. We shouldn't discuss it too long. At first, it would be a good idea to have the decision for the working groups. If we choose it working groups, then we can find out what the tool is they want to have to prefer, or they want to prefer. But it makes no sense to make the tool discussion first, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I'd rather ask France if they can step in and have a sub branch for those willing to use Discourse in the meantime. And for the rest, we do have our mailing list, and the working groups will decide on it. Would that be a way to go forward?
Of course, if some working groups decide to use this course and some other ones decide to use the mailing list, then we will not have one place where there is everything, but many of them.
I agree with Tony. There's I hate to discuss tools, but if we want to have one place, it needs to be a centralized discussion. If we let the different working groups define their own tools, then they will define different tools and they will work independently, and it will be difficult for new members to see where to go to join those working groups. So if we want to be inclusive, I think one centralized tool is the best solution, and then tell the working groups that that is what they're using. The working groups doesn't exist at the moment, so they don't have an opinion. We are the only ones who exist. So if we say that working groups that will come into existence should come into existence on this platform, then that is the working groups that will exist.
Well, it's funny. Matt, thank you for your words. Well, I believe you persuaded me to go for Discourse and ask France again. Please, well, if you have a sub branch ready by, I say, well, within a certain time, you're happy to host the PPU process.
I know last time we did it just in Mumble. We met once a week or every 14 days, depending on the pressure, and actually it was quite good. It was good to go. It went well, you know.
Yes, but perhaps when we decide for this course, let's discuss the technical details later. It's not so complicated to set up a discourse instance. I've have some experience with that, but we have to find only a machine where it can run, and so it's a technical problem. We have to talk with the technicians about that.
Yeah, that's one part. But if we have France here, and France has a running Discourse, I believe that's the easiest way forward.
Well,
yes, maybe. Okay, that I say, let's discuss it later when France can do it. It's with multi-sites, this Discourse. It's not so easy, but it's possible.
I will say whoever is interested in doing something about this, please synchronize with Bastian first, since he is taking care of the PPU IT resources currently, and he seems to be interested in keeping things under control so things don't become chaotic. So definitely sync with Bastian before you do something.
I think it's up to Bastian to answer now, because I believe he can set up a Discourse as well, and well, I'm just a simple guy knowing there is a working discourse, and I just would rather propose just have that one first, and if we have a further discourse later on, no problem at all. But that is later.
Yeah,
but if we have a working instance like France, discourse, it would be fine, but it should be separated from the normal discussions, the daily discussions in France. But nevertheless, we have a website for that we can collect every important data, and that's the website We Need to Talk, and that you can use for all the discussions, all the information we can collect anywhere as multi-language, and we need help for that. If here is there somebody who wants to help with that, it would be very fine. Thank you.
I guess you're proposing we use the We Need to Talk website instead, right?
Maybe to publish some results or some discussions, some data, and so on, and dates for the next meetings and so on. So it's easy to find it with Google or wherever, and we can spread the world with our information.
So based on what we have discussed here, I will say step number 1 is to draft a document, to draft basically a short text that will describe the process, that will take into account asynchronous work on the discourse, online meetings to take decisions on the results from the working groups on discourse, and it will include the steps for the parties to control the existing European election program for its suitability to be used as a base. What is missing is whether we stick with consensus or not. I think do we generally have agreement that we still want to stick with consensus?
Well, it's a good idea to have a very transparent process that everybody can find the information. Maybe we should do that the first step with our minutes from today, to put it anywhere in a wiki, and we can adopt the wiki to that web page so everybody can see what we are doing, and it's quite easy to maintain the wiki page and to have the changes on the website, so everybody has a chance to put some content in it without maintaining the web page itself.
So I think what we need now is a volunteer or two to digest our discussion and make a draft that we can further discuss.
Well, I know you are good in writing text like these. Would you volunteer, just in case? And I know you're good at it.
So I'm currently on 50% parental leave, which means that I'm trying to do my work in half the regular amount of time to be able to raise my 6-month-old daughter on the other 50%. And that's basically 2 full-time jobs. So I'm not happy to commit to do anything at this moment, unfortunately.
No problem. Just asking, you know. Alexander? How about you?
Yes, as I followed the discussion, perhaps no other willing to do that?
Well, Alexander, I'll be happy if you I'll be first, and I'm happy to assist you, so to say, doing the corrections.
Okay, which line we will start?
Not today, but within these days.
Not today. Okay.
I can help with that as well, no problem.
We are in point 3 in the agenda, by the way, for those asking. So I'm writing down a decision that Alexander with Thomas will draft a proposal for the process that we will then send out for further discussions. So before we close this topic for now, I guess maybe there's one more thing I was thinking to raise, since we discussed using Discord for some asynchronous work. So do we still see some synchronous meetings happening to make the final decisions? And if yes, like how do different people see the split between asynchronous and synchronous work? Like at which point do you imagine that asynchronous work ends and we take up the rest of it synchronously? So maybe we should like have a short discussion about this, just in case we are not at the same page about this.
Well, just my simple answer to it. I believe the asynchronous work in the meantime is necessary in parts, but I know from experience that there needs to be a meeting, so to say, live, wherever, on Mumble, whatever, to find out the last misunderstandings, and that might be sometimes in just some little wording, so we can discuss it to the end and see fit that we have a very, very good program at the very end. So meetings will be necessary on the run.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I also agree, and I think it's good with deadlines. Having a physical meeting or having a meeting coming up would mean that people working asynchronously know when they have to have reached a certain stage. I would also argue that what worked really well last time around was the amount of physical meetings we had. We had multiple physical meetings, and I think at every single one of them, obstacles and misunderstandings were overcome and we moved forward. So while we might not be able to have as many physical meetings as last time, I think planning for a few physical meetings during the process will be really useful. And I especially think that when it comes to synchronous work, decision making is generally better. To reach an agreement, it's good to be at the same time and at the same place. But to do all the drafting, you can do asynchronous.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page.
Or to be more specific, voting you can do asynchronous, but consensus, where everyone looks around the table and say, are we all in agreement, is very difficult to do asynchronous.
I will say synchronous meetings are also quite important to motivate people, because in a synchronous setting, people are generally less driven, I will say. So having the deadline of a specific meeting is always helping things move forward.
Direct meetings are far better for explanations. Just reading stuff and text, you may get some worms in there that you didn't really understand probably how it's supposed to be meant.
One important thing I found out there was the set deadline. I gave in a proposal that we might have a final deadline to have a totally final decision made by us all, and I made the proposition that it might be 25th of November this year.
So is that a deadline for the Common European Election Program or a deadline for the process to write the Common European Election Program?
No, that will be my deadline for having it finalized.
And we have to get it all through our general assemblies, certified and accepted. And that's probably the most difficult part of all of it. It's not actually writing it, that's a big problem. We've got a basis on the 214 program, and it's pretty very good. And it's just actually a question what new things are going to come into this, and what's going to be accepted newly, because there's very little changes to be made. And when and if changes are made on the old 214 program, again, it's going to you're going to have to change them on the general assemblies, and not in a working group anymore, because it's been accepted on a general assembly, and it has to be changed there as well.
Yeah, that's why I wrote down November, because there are 4 months available, so to say, before the European election, which is supposed to be in May next year, to accept the CEP.
Exactly.
Yes, right, but you have to prepare. For my opinion, better will be October than November. But okay, we can discuss it. Because also we have to plan the campaigns and so on, and I want to hear more input from other parties, whether or not they say that the November is a good deadline. Otherwise, thanks to France, we have got the discourse category. Yes, so it's very easy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether they have an English language version on it.
So let's include the deadline in the draft proposal for the process, and have force all parties to comment on this deadline, on whether it gives enough time to everyone to ratify the results.
Well, if we're still throwing dates around, I would suggest February next year. I think there's no need to have it done before the election campaign is actually kicking off. And I think the closer to the elections, the more pirates we will be able to get involved in the process. Right now, a lot of parties have national elections coming up that they're focused on. It will be difficult for not only the Swedish pirates, but only other pirates as well, to refocus on the European level before fall. And that would give that will make the work very quickly done. I think a longer time would probably be better. And with a consensus model, it shouldn't be difficult to get the member parties to accept the program in the end. So, and if they know the deadline, they can also plan their general assemblies accordingly. So February, I would suggest 2019.
So let's put in the draft proposal a short deadline and a long deadline, and have the parties discuss that, maybe. I know for the Pirate Party of Greece this wouldn't be a problem because we could ratify this quickly, but maybe for some pirate parties it could be very difficult to plan this ahead. I don't know what the situation is for everyone.
Yes, but I think February is very, very late, especially for, because I don't know how it works with procedures in the national party. So I hope that we will have another General Assembly in spring, maybe in February. But it's very near to the election, and campaign planning also needs time. Program has to be printed and so on. And in Germany, we have a special regulation that the motions have to be present 4 weeks, 1 month before the General Assembly. So February will be absolutely too late.
Well, actually, preparation for elections is a fair point, so for some parties this could be an issue.
Okay, so at the end, perhaps this is proposal 25th of November. It is late enough for everybody.
How about round robin?
What do you mean?
Well, calling for opinions, so to say, +1.
I think we will have to put both proposals in there and ask everyone to comment on that because probably not everyone is present now, and maybe some people need to talk to their parties to see what actually works.
Yeah, might be a possibility, but I'd rather see some kind of a deadline that can be amended any time. But I know putting up something without a deadline is, well, not pushing us ourselves under pressure, so to say. Because well, we are people, and we know we work by deadlines, and you know.
I would kind of lean on the November deadline personally.
One question that might be better to ask, rather if they prefer November or February or October, is when they need to have a final text to be able to adopt it within their party organization. And then you will basically see when the different members need to have a text. And if no one needs it until February, then fine. If someone needs it in October, then maybe we'll have to go from the October deadline. But it might be good to start by asking the members when they need a text to be done before us deciding on a time. And not when they want to have it done, but when they need it to be able to adopt it in their respective organizations.
Yes, that's a very good question. So we write no fixed term, fixed deadline. That what I said, it should be enough time to work. So the deadline should not be for yes, October. But everybody should propose which is the latest deadline they can live with, or they need to adopt this.
Or we could just write a deadline is before the election.
That's a
Last minute.
So as just for continuance, I believe, I believe we should stick to 3 at the moment and ask Antigone if she could send out the questionnaire again, a bit amended. I know she's got the possibilities for it and the addresses, so I believe that might be an easy way. Giving that a deadline, I propose for answering if she's ready, so to say, in not a fortnight, 4 months, in a month's time, so to say. Would they be a way forward? I know Ppeu will have a board meeting tomorrow, if I remember correctly, so maybe that might be an idea to discuss it there and send it out from the Ppeu board.
No.
No, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, as I know. The first Monday in the month.
Oops, oh my goodness.
Gosh, you scaring me.
That will
Easter.
be Eastern.
Yeah, I
Not
know,
everywhere.
I know. We will find a solution for that.
Yeah, I
Because
believe, sorry.
in Germany are Easter holiday.
Yeah, but I believe somebody will be able to reach Antigone and ask her to sending out some kind of questionnaire. And even Tony from the board can do that, I believe.
I'm not sure I have the list of recipients that I need to have, but
Yeah, you can contact her.
yeah, sure. So let's write down in the pad everything that I need to ask then, or that someone needs to ask. So we need to settle the question of the date, right? Of the deadline. So basically we have one question, the question of the deadline, right? We are not really talking about a new questionnaire, just one question. So, yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, please move on.
Yeah, so we move to the next point, the agenda, I suppose, unless someone has to still add something. Nope. So we move to next point, point number 4. Some proposals to discuss. I guess here we have a suggested list of working groups. That is, of course, another question, how we decide which working groups we want and who will organize each working group.
Yeah, for monitoring the old CEP, so to say, well, I'd volunteer and take the lead and invite those being interested in monitoring it. And I believe that will be the shortest working group of all of them.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah, no participants, no working group. But maybe some people can take the chance to write their names in if they want to decide now to work with a working group within a working group. So we have an overview about that.
I think that goes with all the other working groups as well. Same taking over the hat.
So in that case, let's give a chance to everyone to write down their names now into the groups. And if someone has a working group to propose, he can do so now as well, assuming he will also join it.
Yeah, a good idea is if you use your Twitter name or a mailing address, whatever, that we can reach you.
So if someone doesn't want to put his contact info right into the pod, then contact someone from board or me after, so I can help with getting people in touch with each other. Otherwise, if you're comfortable putting your email in there directly, you can just do that.
Yeah, as well. Well, if they're going for a lead or having the hat on, so to say, that means at interim, so the group themselves can decide who will share, but in the meantime, somebody has to take care of it, so to say, inviting.
So someone needs to follow up with each one of the groups and make sure that that a kickstart meeting, a kickoff meeting, basically is going to take place. I think we have quite a few people, but I noticed that there is no one under digital affairs, which is quite interesting for a pirate party.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, well, I will ask, non-members at the moment, Cyprus, if they will step in as well. Because I know we have somewhere from Cyprus willing to prepare something for AI.
That would be great.
On the topic of digital affairs, it's interesting that we haven't mentioned the fact that we have one of the most high-profile members of the European Parliament on exactly digital affairs elected for the European Pirate Party. I'm pretty sure that her office would be more skilled and more competent to draft something there than any member organization, especially with the knowledge of which digital affairs are actually currently being discussed in the European institutions. So it might be good for the German pirates to reach out to their member and see if they can involve her in that area.
Seconded, absolutely.
Guido, the bug, would you like to take care of it, please?
Sorry, I was not quite paying attention at the moment.
Reaching out to Julia or an office for digital affairs.
Okay, I can do that, yeah.
Okay, sounds that that will be a promising group.
There is no volunteer for structural fund and cohesion funds.
That's true. But I believe if we find nobody today, we can ask for it, or the board can ask for it as well via the mailing list or wherever. So if nobody shows up, we might have a blank.
As we have the links to each subpad here, and would it be whoever ends up being responsible for each subgroup? Could they just like make sure to put down all the necessary like contact information, or like further, I don't know, tools the group may be using, so that people can like join in later? Because I was thinking of sharing these categories on our party's internal like communication platforms, and like it would be nice to be able to direct people to the different working groups.
And try to get a We Need to Talk program up with this. You'll get more interested people from around Europe. We've already done the migration and Agile We Need to Talk, and it went pretty well. It was quite interesting talk. Tried to do inclusion last time, but if we take this actually as titles for We Need to Talk and take it further and actually make a discussion round on that, it would be interesting. You'll probably get more volunteers in the working group as well.
So I guess we have something going on here.
And the subpart for the old common platform is not open for.
Yeah, well, for the old one, I will do that later on. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
So anything else about this point, or should we let people start organizing the meetings and move on to the next point? I guess I don't hear much discussion about this point anymore, so I guess next point is tools. Point 5 about tools. We already discussed a little bit about this course in the discussion about the processes. So I wonder if we still have something to discuss about tools now, or if we would rather see the draft first for the process before we have more discussions about this. Is there another tool that we think that we need at the moment?
No, but the old ways what we used last time should be kept open, and also the information should go over them. If we have a new tool, I know Discord can actually be used in mailing lists as well, so we could connect them. There are people out there still reading and interested, and
Yeah, where possible, there should be continuity, I guess.
yes.
Yeah, and as for spreading the info, we still got the old mailing list, which is still available. That's the Ppeu program. I believe that's one single point of contact we can still all of us somehow go for, just in case other ways won't work, etc.
So, yeah, I guess we can move on from tools. The next point is about the second meeting, when we should have it, and I guess Antigone was proposing there that the next meeting we will discuss the topic of what we should keep from the previous program.
Yeah, I believe we can meet up next month as well, just showing what the progress is, etc. Even if there's a small progress, I believe that's even a start to come. Let's be in discussion and see if we need to amend whatever.
So, as I understand, you volunteered to lead the working group for this part, so
Not really, not really.
No?
Nope.
Monitor old CEP, subpad,
Yeah,
blah,
that's the CEP only, but for the rest, I believe we are, so to say, I still stick to the word, the committee. The rest is working groups, and I believe the committee should meet somewhere, so even to say late April.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. So, okay, Antigone is still not here, so we will have to decide on a date on ourselves, I suppose, sometime in April, late April.
I'd say let it be, well, should we go for Sunday again?
Why not?
If you say so, I propose the 22nd.
Any objections for the 22nd of April?
I second.
So I think there are no objections. Is there anything else?
There is one in the chat.
Oh, let me see.
Don't worry, Tony. I've got a micro also. I'm thinking about earlier. Give them a go. Let things going. Try to involve people in there. Every 2 weeks, try to meet up.
Yeah, but I would agree in a way, but I'd like to give the working groups a chance first, getting it started.
Yeah, I would be with Thomas in this one. We want the working groups to be now starting to meet up in the time in between, and this is more like a bigger meeting that will be less frequent than the working group meetings.
Yeah, and further on, I wouldn't object having even weeking on a two weeks basis just to see how the results are going.
And please don't destroy our Sundays. It's another Sunday, and we can't meet every second Sunday. I wouldn't agree with that.
That's the same with me. But the other one is a month, so I believe that can be done once a month. If you do it on a fortnight basis, I would object to Sunday at all.
And we can use the subpads in the meanwhile.
I mean, hopefully the working groups will meet. Hopefully there will be a working group meeting every week, and yeah. So let's stick with the 22nd of April.
I'll try to do maybe a Wednesday as well, because we had quite a lot of feedback on the Wednesday when we did our We Want to Talk. There were lots of people there. Try different days. On the same day, you're going to get the same people in, and some people have got something to do on this day all the time, and you'll get them on different days to participate.
So is there anything else, or shall we close the meeting?
I have a quick request. Will there be someone writing a very easily understood explanatory text on how people can get involved with the working groups that can be posted on the PPE webpage, so that we can direct people there that might be interested? Basically, so that you can easily share how to get involved without having to write it from scratch.
Well, I will do that.
Great.
We were thinking of writing something and getting it out in the press as well over the pirate channels, and get it out on social media as well, so it's get well known what we're doing.
I think that all sounds great, but I'm really pleased to hear that Bastian said that something will be on the official page, because it's always best to be able to direct people to the official page and say, look, there is the information. That is where you can find everything you need. So thanks for that.
We will do that. We will post it via our websites, that everybody can be reached in a minute. And I think we will prepare that Monday or Thursday or so.
Yeah, plus maybe we even we can gather new members in all parties while having the process ongoing. So spread the information. That's, I believe, the pirates' idea.
So if I understood right, Bastian will write something. Did I get this right?
Yeah. I have to prepare that for the wiki and for the wiki for the web page, and then it's easy to make a little menu for everybody who want to share us.
Okay, great. In that case, can we close the meeting now?
No objection, Mr. Chair.
Great. So the time is 9 p.m. So 54 minutes after 9 p.m. and we close this meeting. See you again. Well, everyone at the 22nd of April, and hopefully many people will meet in between for the working groups.
Yeah, thank you very much for the cooperation here.
Yeah, and thank you for stepping in. I believe that was just out of the ordinary. Thank you, Tony, from the board.
Yeah.